decision.
Wake up, I gotta go get it. Wake up, I gotta go get it. Yo, man, we back after a crazy weekend of college football. All the conference championships, all the craziness that was going on with the Hearts. I am one half of your host, Stackz, in the building, and we have Javaris Harris over there. He is in his bag right now. He is Neo in the Matrix right now. He's feeling a little different right now because guess what? Georgia pulled it out. Georgia pulled it out. SEC champs. SEC champs in the playoffs, headed to a national championship. This is crazy. Javaris is on a different type of time right now. He said you must talk to him differently right now because the Dogs is on the way to the national championship. They're on the road and they have an SEC championship. Shut Texas down from getting it in their first year. You have to respect it. Backup Gunner Stockton came in, did his thing, and gave them a boost they needed. So we love to see it. We're gonna jump right into it after and see if Javaris Harris over there will enlighten us as to how he feels about this Georgia Tech game for the SEC championship and how he feels about these playoff pitches. So how you feeling, my brother? How you feeling?
I feel exuberance. First off, let me say this. For the people that said these boys, and I was one of them. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was definitely one of them. I can't talk with that toothpick in. It you just have to let things play out. And I will honestly say I was one of those fans. I was nervous about this season. I'm still nervous about this season. Like, I genuinely don't know how things can go come late December. Like, I genuinely don't know. But all we can worry about is it now. Unfortunately, Carson got hurt, so now we're riding the saddle with Garner Stockton. But I will say this: they won, right? And this was not a win that was like a Kentucky Georgia win that was early on in the season. This was a win that solidified a lot of things, right? Got us to bye in the playoffs. Now we're looking at a lot of people are saying a potential clear drive into Atlanta come January. But the thing that I'm really truly happy with right now is they got the job done, right? So I think the biggest question is how do we play with a backup that hasn't really seen a lot of action this season? Luckily, he'll have 2 weeks to really prepare for either Indiana or Notre Dame. But now it's just like you don't have your key signal caller. So it's like I'm happy, but at the same time I'm like, it just got real. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It's a bittersweet moment.
It's just like, okay, all right, but yeah, man. Incredible fight from Texas. You knew that they were going to come in to this game wanting revenge. They wanted payback, and you got to tip your hat to Coach Sark and that staff. Like, they had us on the ropes. They had us on the ropes, and like the Georgia team that we always know, they're a second half team, and just fought, but it's like Gunner just knew, like, hey, we have to win this game, and he played. He just played incredible. For the job that he did. There was no really bad thing to say. He came in, he knew the job that had to be done. Of course, he had a moment where he was rattled through interception, but other than that, like, I genuinely don't have.
Fumble the ball. Just don't forget to fumble.
Oh yeah. He of course he fumbled as well, but at the same time, I can live with that. I can live with that from a guy who didn't really get a lot of reps in this season. like I can live with that. I mean, the job got done. Like the
I
job.
mean, he came in and did
Yeah,
he did what he was supposed to do and not do too much.
yeah.
You know, I personally wouldn't go as far as saying he played incredible, but with what he had, he made it happen. So
And, and that's what I mean by when I say it
he
was.
he uh he extended drives with his legs. I
Yes.
mean, which Beck has shown later on in the season, but this is Gunnar Stockton's identity. You
Hmm.
know, so I would like to see how it is when the game slows down and he has to make those throws and things like that because Texas didn't have much film on Gunnar
Exactly.
Stockton, and like I know, when you have a game plan for one specific quarterback and one for specific style of offense, and then that changes as you've seen in the SEC championship and the national championship with Bama and Georgia many
Hmm.
years ago. That can disrupt your whole scheme, you know. And to be honest, uh, Texas lost this game not as much as Georgia won it, in my opinion, because Texas literally led Georgia in every category.
Hmm.
I mean, and there were, I think Texas had like 4 picks that were called, and 2 of them were called back or something like that, or maybe 3 of them.
I so it wasn't four. I mean, from
Yeah,
from what? Well,
they
now
had
it
two
was
called back for sure, and then they had one that was a legit pick. I know, so it was a
for from Georgia's end or Texas.
Texas's interceptions. They had two
Oh yeah,
called
yeah,
back.
yeah, 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 yeah. So they did. They definitely did. So they had one that was thrown by Gunner, and then they had two that were called back right before the half because of flags, of course.
No, yeah,
And yeah, it really should have
he
been
had
three.
one to end the half.
Yes,
That was a fumble. Wasn't a pick. It's a fumble.
but
So,
I'm talking about yes,
so
yes.
it's a
It was a
fumble. It wasn't.
fumble.
So it was 2 picks and a fumble.
Yes.
And one was called back. One was not. So what I'm saying is the DBs were giving fits. They were giving fits. They were doing what they were supposed to do. You know, me personally, I think that the run game got going. ETN started to pick up. And the energy that the fans showed with Gunnar Stockton coming in, because I've been seeing a lot of Georgia fans throughout the season have been wanting to see him more involved in the offense and stuff. So they got their wish. So when you have the crowd reaction like that and the energy boost like that, and then your team rallies around you, gives you a lot of confidence. And it shows because, I mean, you throw that pick right there, and you fumble the ball, losing like a lot of yards on a big play. It's good to see Kirby Smart get in his ear, but not chew him out. Just kind of settle him down some, like you got it. And then he made the crucial run, two crucial runs that two crucial runs, one big play to me that changed the course of the game. Um, the running overtime to get the first down to set them up for the scoring play. The run to extend that fourth down that they had, where he had to get like 2 yards, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
And then the big throw downfield to get them set up for that touchdown coming out of the half. So those 3 plays right there, although they're not the entire game, or they're not the entire second half, those 3 plays are confidence boosters. Those 3 plays are good signs that tell your team, hey, I'm willing to lay my body on the line to win this thing. Who's with me? And that's kind of like how they finished the game, because he got popped when that first down in overtime. He got popped, But I mean, this is football. This is what comes with the territory.
Mhm.
The main part is you got the first down. You held onto the ball. Big hits is gonna come. They're gonna talk about it in that moment, and then after that, all they're gonna talk about is how you got the first down, and if you score. If you don't score, then that's all they're gonna talk about is the big hit, or if you fumble. So, and then on the other side with Texas, I mean, they had some good plays dialed up. They had some opportunities, some big passes. It looked like they were gonna run away with this thing. I will say, although they lost, it looked the completely opposite of what it looked like when Texas and Georgia first faced off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it looked like it was going Texas's way, just like it did Georgia's way. It's just Georgia was able to hold them from capitalizing on the mistakes that they made. So, with the interceptions that got called back, and then the interceptions that didn't get called back, they didn't turn into many points because of Georgia's defense staying stout. I mean, some penalties in there as well, but that comes with the territory. So,
Yeah.
I personally think it's gonna be Georgia and Texas in the national championship for the third time. That's just me because I don't see nobody else putting on a good show against Georgia, in my opinion. Because Oregon Oregon and Texas might be the only two, but I think Georgia will pretty much run the table with Oregon, in my opinion. But
I'll say this. So I'm okay. I'm glad Trevor is back, but I hate it for the guys that had to step up while he was injured. Like those guys really made a showing those 2 games or 3 games, however many games he was hurt. I think it was either 2 or 3. And for Trevor to come back and just take all those reps, I was like, okay, cool to see him back. But God, watching those guys really gave me so much hope. I hate using the word optimism, but so much hope for the future, like for next season. Like those are the guys. Those are the guys that are going to get the nod. Like those are the guys that are going to be running the SEC, in my opinion. So, um, it was cool. Like I'm glad he's back, but it's like, dang, like those guys were really running the table while he was gone. Like,
I mean, that's how it is. I mean, when you got your starter in, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like let's be real. The game winning touchdown and the touchdown to come out of the half, who scored it?
oh yeah,
Each team.
100%. No, I'm not
So
taking that. I'm
so
not taking that
and
from him.
last time Texas played Georgia, who was the big factor offensively?
Correct.
The BTN.
Absolutely, I
So
100% agree.
so
But
for me, like
it
don't get me
just
wrong, this is football. This is sports in
yeah.
general. You waste your time, you shine in your time, and then when your time is, and you be ready when your number's called again. Because we don't. To me, he didn't look completely healthy. He
Okay.
did enough to get the job done. Like I mean, because he didn't have no super big runs. I mean,
He
I
had a
think
48
maybe his
yarder.
longest 38-yard run.
A 48 yarder. Yeah.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that
Yeah.
one. I didn't see that one.
Yep.
I only
He had
saw
a 48.
the 10-yard runs and the
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, but he still didn't look like his normal self. His normal self. So I mean, uh, but he's still the best to me. The most elusive back that you guys
Mm-hmm.
have, and the most well-rounded back because you can throw it to him out the backfield. Um, all of those different things. But the best true back, power back, run back, all of that, will be to me the freshman, which is a beast. He's a
Yeah. Nate
beast. But
Frazier.
yeah, I think that ETN gives you the best options out of the backfield because you can use them in so many ways. Um, yeah. So
And that's why I mean, like, don't get me wrong, like I was genuinely shocked. Okay, I was shocked when he transferred. I was shocked when he was, saying he was coming to Georgia. But if he would have been used the way like he was supposed to be, I really feel like he would have been a lot higher in just the SEC, like in SEC stats like rushing and stuff like that.
oh for
But
sure, this is
man,
why you have to watch the games
yeah,
because
absolutely. But at
because
the
go ahead.
I was just saying, like, he has so much potential. Like he's already been, I mean, a lot of people want him to go ahead and be NFL, what's the word? Declare for the NFL. Of course, he can't do that until after. But at the same time, it's like, man, like I feel like he has so much more to offer than what he did. And I think if he would have had those 2 or 3 games where he had got hurt, we would be having a different conversation right now. You know what I'm saying? So granted,
Yeah, I mean, but you got to think of the scheme that they're trying to run. Everybody's going towards the passing game. You know what I'm saying? That's
yeah.
the big thing that you got that everybody's trying to do. Everybody's trying to do that. You know, so um, with the weapons that you guys have the big plays there. It's just a lot of times those big plays didn't get finished because of drops and things like that. Because you got to think, he came from a situation where he was the big name.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's in a situation where everybody around him is 5 stars and NFL talent. So you
Right.
know that's the downfall of being on a championship team. You
Mm-hmm.
know, everybody around you is a 5 star, so your numbers might dip a little bit. You know, so you might not have as many numbers as you had before. That doesn't mean you're not as good. It just means that your numbers didn't call this. You know, like I'm looking at his stats now. He only had 16 carries.
Yeah.
You know, averaging 5.9 yards of carries, which is great. And he wasn't looking like 100% in my opinion. So
Yeah.
just imagine if you give him more carries that he's 100%. And the blocker held up. And then you guys' line was banged up a lot this year. You guys shuffled your line a lot, so that affects the run game. So a lot of factors, you know, can affect what running backs can do. You know, so that's why a lot of people declare for the draft if they have no option of playing for a natty. You know, because
Mm-hmm.
it's like I'm not gonna risk dropping my stock or getting hurt or whatever just to play in a bowl game that's not the Natty.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody remembers the bowl game winners as much as they remember the national championship winners. So that's the thinking behind everybody. So I
Yeah.
mean, yeah. So that's how I feel about that. But
Yeah.
um,
But
yeah.
I mean, again, nothing to take away from that. But I definitely want. I want to talk about Texas a little bit because again, Quinn Ewers 358 yards. Matthew Golden 164 yards. I mean 162 receiving. I mean yeah receiving yards. Like the defense, Georgia's defense again has been a struggle this season. Now we stopped the run very well. Like running that was getting shut down. But man, our DBs, man, our DBs have struggled, and it just seems like I know it's a lot of youth on the defense. Like it's a lot of freshmen that are playing, but goodness gracious, like what what is going to happen? Like, granted, I've always been a fan of Texas's receiving core, especially the last 2 seasons, but we may have to face an Oregon team whose receiving core is nothing but speed. I mean, you got Tez Johnson, Evan Stewart, guys like that. Like they are. I mean, they are sharp. Like
But lucky for you guys, you wouldn't have to see them unless you made the national championship.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. But granted, if we do, how like what is going to have to change with these with our secondary in order to win a national championship? What are we going to have to do?
The DBs, I think, are okay because you got to think. Look, y'all's front four, y'all's linebackers, monsters.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think with Texas, the beautiful part about them, the play designs are what got their receivers open a lot because the big play, the golden, I think that was that down the
Yeah.
field. Uh, the design to make it seem like they were running in the fly route, and he comes around, make it seem like it's a what do you call it, a running back, goal, whatever. He comes around to the side, that frees him up, you know, gives him space, and all
Mm-hmm.
you has to do is place it in the basket, and you know, and you off to the races. So I think Sark had great play designs for 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 uh for Texas to against Georgia. A couple of them resulted in penalties because there was a lot of rub routes and things like that, and a lot of crossing routes and things. But uh, I think play design is what threw them off for that game. You know, I don't. Don't get me wrong. The DBs are not as good as they once were, but I still think they're good enough to get the job done.
Mm.
And the beautiful part about Georgia, the defensive line and the defense and y'all's linebackers, if they don't get to them by that time, then it's bound to be a person open. I mean, that's all you can do. You know what I'm saying? All you can do is hope to hold them at that point because
Yeah,
y'all's line is gonna get after them. So
yeah.
I think the DBs are gonna be okay.
I'll tell you one thing. We better not go in another overtime in the playoffs, brother, because my heart rate can't take it. I didn't even, you know what's crazy? I didn't even watch overtime in the SC championship. Like, I just could not risk pacing and all that stuff I was doing when we played Georgia Tech with 8 overtimes. I just said, you know what? Not only do I have to go to work in the morning, like I'm not trying to stress myself. I'll be up all night trying to watch this game. Because granted, that the Georgia Tech game started at 7:30, and people weren't going the game didn't end till midnight. So granted, of course, I didn't think it was going to go 8 overtimes, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm not gonna risk this. But again, they got the job done. But I think Texas will be fine in the playoffs.
Oh, for sure, they have a harder path, but
Yeah,
they'll get it done.
I genuinely think they will be okay. Let's see, I'm looking now.
They have Clemson.
Yeah, they have Clemson. So it'll be either Texas or Clemson versus Arizona State in the Peach Bowl. But yeah, I think they should be very very well. And then whoever wins that game, uh, will have to face either from that Arizona State game. They'll have to face either Oregon or Ohio State or Tennessee, and that'll
Right.
be the semifinal. And so, yeah. But yeah, man, I really think this is going to be a very interesting and fun playoffs. A lot of people, of course, are giving some fits, which we'll talk about a little later on in the episode. We definitely want to go ahead and get through these conference games, but yeah, man, I think this is going to be a very interesting uh playoff, especially with
Oh,
12
for
teams.
sure.
We've been wanting this, so but yeah, man, let's move over to this ACC championship, man. How about SMU?
What
How
a way to
about
fight back from you talk about
yeah?
resilience. SMU, I ain't gonna lie, I cut the game off. I was like, man, Clemson got it. We already knew SMU had been
Mm-mm.
tested. Clemson's gonna go ahead when they conference or whatever. But man, I looked up and they was right back in it. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, man, I had a whole discussion with my stepbrother over there talking about how who we feel is gonna end up being in, if Bama's gonna get in or if
Mhm.
SMU. And then I was like, well, SMU's losing 24-7 right now, so it's looking like it's gonna be a blowout. Then I get off work, I come home. God damn, if I be down, they right there at the end, kicking a field goal. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Kevin Jennings, man. I mean, definitely struggled in that first half. I guess he was really just trying to find, kind of get a feel for Clemson and how that secondary and the defense was. But man, he cut it on in that second half. I mean, he just went ham. And I mean,
adjustments, my
Rashard,
brother.
huh?
Adjustments.
Oh yeah,
Adjustments.
100%,
Adjustments.
one
Adjustments.
thousand percent.
I will forever I die on this hill. I don't care how you look first 2 quarters if you don't look the same in the third or fourth. Cause I can see what your game plan is first, second quarter, and I can adjust. And then your game plan goes out the window.
Yeah,
You can win all the first halves you want to, and you will still have a terrible record. You can still have a terrible record. So I mean, second half is where you turn it on. I mean, they figured it out. They figured it out.
yeah,
They figured it out. And with them figuring it out like that, they rightfully so they deserve to be in the playoff picture. Regardless of their strength of schedule, they show that they can get it done, and they're in the conference championship. You know, so yeah, I
yeah.
mean,
Man, I
yeah, I
mean,
mean, and Clemson they won, and they still got their chance to figure it out. They got their chance to make their comeback. So I mean, no harm, no foul for either one of the teams.
yeah.
You know, so
Well, I think what's going to be very interesting is Cade Klubnik is actually from Texas, so he's going to be facing his home state. I think a few of the guys on Texas' roster he's played against in high school and stuff like that. So It's definitely going to be again. I'm going to be very in invested in this playoffs. Not only because Georgia's in it, but I just really want to see like who is going to knock off who. You know what I'm saying? Like this is what we've been waiting for. Like this is exactly what we wanted. I'm interested to see what the storylines are going to be. So yeah, man. Like I'm excited. I'm excited. I wasn't too excited to see that this man Phil Maffa only rushed for 28 yards for Clemson. Like that is like I don't even have a word to describe that, but that's just disgusting to see this man really. I mean, he's so night and day. He's so night and day. I hate that. Like
I mean,
he's
well, I
lost
mean,
me money. That's why I hate it.
yeah. I mean, what you gotta think? People scheme different for
For
different
sure.
situations. I mean,
Yes.
you playing different teams. I don't know if you were done with talking about this game or whatever, but speaking on Russian, let's talk about Arizona State's running back going crazy like that.
Bro.
Like you know what I'm saying? Like on the
Bro.
big stage, I mean, Shine. It looked like Ashton Jensen was out there for a second. You
And you know
know,
what's crazy? He has been one of the most underrated running backs in the league. I mean, in the country this far. Like, no talks about him really being in the Heisman category. But man, Cam Scatterbo, like we talked about him last week, in our preview. Like that guy is a menace to society. Like he is a dog, and whatever team gets him, I don't know if I don't know if he's draft eligible. I think he is, but whatever team gets him still in the draft, I promise you, Cameron
and
Scatterbo is a
this is why.
yeah.
But he's a
No,
dog.
he's just
To
a
me,
menace. Yeah.
yeah, but this is why we like the conference championships and the
Hmm.
playoff format because you get to see those types of players and things like that. Like, you know, we actually get to see Genty play now and it's not 10 o'clock at night. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Right.
I'm just being honest,
Yeah.
So this is what this stage is for, so the stars can shine. Like that's why I was hoping that Colorado figured out a way to get in because we wanted to see Travis Hunter and Shador and all of those guys play against the top tier talent of the college football world. Like
Yeah.
we want to see them play the Oregons and the Georgias and the Texas and the Tennessees and the Ohio States. We want to see that. We want to see best on best. So but that's what these playoffs for us to get to see these players ball out like that and it not be just the same recycled teams. Of course,
Yeah.
those teams are gonna be in the mist, but now you've got other people in that mist too trying to battle for that same spot. Like, I mean, how good is it to see Oregon in the conference? I mean, and not in the conference championship, but in the conversation for the national championship again. Last time they made it was against Auburn when they made it all the way to the end. So that program has been good for so long without a national championship. It is sickening because of how many good players and how many good teams they've had that they have not won a championship.
Yeah.
So that's what these playoffs are for. But anyway, keep it back on topic with Scatterbo. He's a beast.
Yeah.
He's a dog.
But also, I mean, just this Arizona State team in general, like
Right.
they lose one of their top receivers to the season with a they say upper body injury, but I mean he was in a cast on Saturday, so I guess it's something to do with his arm. But anyway, you have Stovall, who really stepped up, 91 yards and 4 receptions, and it was almost like this Iowa State team was just they just couldn't find it. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
Arizona State cut it on early, and
Never cut it off.
yeah, never cut it off. I mean, you not only was Scatterbo just running all over them, but he was catching out of the backfield and then getting into the end zone. So
Yeah,
it's
everybody looked good. I mean, because
yeah,
I didn't realize that their quarterback was a freshman. I didn't realize that.
yes,
I didn't
yes,
realize that he had a
yes.
great showing even without his starter. I mean, they look good across the board. Special teams, defense, offense, receivers, running backs, all the offensive line. Everybody did what they were supposed to do because I felt like they played like they felt disrespected.
Hmm.
That people felt like they might not be able to get in or some jump.
Right.
It's like we have a shot. Because I mean, let's be real. We don't know when the next time they're gonna get an opportunity to play in the playoffs. So you have to be great now. Like not next year, not no. You have to capitalize on every opportunity you have now. Prime example with Boise. Capitalizing on their opportunity now because you never know. Like the way the college program is set up, like you never know. Like you could lose all your starter next year and then not make playoffs. I mean, it's so much that could go. Like prime example this year, who would have thought that Georgia loses 2 games this year? Had it been old format, they would have been out of the playoffs, no problem. Like you know what I'm
Right.
saying? So you just never know. You never know how the season's gonna go, but they played
Yeah.
their butts off and it showed, and they prepared and it showed.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I mean, again, man, I just realized not only have we been on here for a year, that I truly forgot that your boy Jeff Sims is on Arizona State now. You know Jeff Sims, the
Oh,
former
man.
quarterback from Nebraska.
I know exactly what you're talking about. But it's the reason why we didn't know that. No, let me not say that. Let me not say that. Let me not say that. Jeff Sims, go be great. Do your thing, brother. I'm not tearing nobody down. My bad. That's my fault. No, it ain't got dog. We know why you ain't got down on what you call it, man. Come on, bro. Be better. God dog, just be better.
Like Jeff Sims used to be a dog at Georgia Tech. Like Jeff Sims was that dude at Georgia Tech, man.
No,
And
he
I
was
don't know
okay.
what happened.
He was
I
okay.
don't.
He was okay. He fit the scheme. He was okay. He can run his butt off.
Yeah, he
But
can. He can definitely. I mean,
I
man.
mean, and then at the time, I mean, with Georgia Tech, that's what they were.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, worked out for Georgia Tech, didn't work out for him. So I guess not. But anyway,
Oregon, Penn State.
what a game that was too. That
Yeah.
was a great game.
I mean, you know what? Like we talk about we talk about James Franklin, but we don't talk about Drew Aller a lot because what Drew Aller did in those final like seconds of the game, throwing that interception that did not have to be thrown. Like they honestly, when we made our pick last week for Penn State to win this game, we weren't off. Like we were not far off. This game ended in by literally what 4 or 5 points, 6 points. Penn State should have won this game. Penn State should have won this game.
But
Penn State should have won this game.
exactly what I always say, James Franklin could mess up a wet dream.
Again,
He pulled the plug on that play. He's like, all right, run it. No.
no. I think this was on Drew Aller. This was on Drew Aller throwing that pick. The play was fine. The play was fine. Drew Aller just got rattled. He got excited. He knew the game was in reach. They could have won it on this possession. And he throws that interception. That game was Penn State's if he had not thrown this interception.
Well, guess we'll never know now.
We will never know because they lost.
And it don't look like they playing Oregon at all because unless they make the national championship, which good God Almighty,
They got a road.
Yeah.
They got a road.
Yeah, because I mean, well,
they could potentially play Georgia.
I'm saying until Georgia, until they would have to play.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they got SMU, so if they get past SMU, then they would have Boise. And if they get past Boise, then they would have either Georgia, Notre Dame, or Indiana.
I'm telling y'all right now, SMU made the playoffs for a reason. Okay, again, all right. Let me hold off. Let's finish this. Let's finish the game first. Let's finish Big Ten championship. But yeah, because man, boy, let me tell you something. I got some words. For that. But no, Oregon. Dylan Gabriel, Tez Johnson, Evan Stewart, Jordan James. God,
Offensively, they did what they were supposed to do.
I mean, you come in if you're going to be number one, do everything it takes to stay number one. Like,
Yeah. At the end of the
and that's
day,
what they
you just
did.
win. I
Yes.
mean, like, no matter how much you win by, like, it ain't gotta
Mhm.
always be pretty. I mean, even though that looks better for the committee if you win by a lot, but
Yes.
if you win every game that's put in front of you, then you good. And
Yes.
that's what they've done. So, you know, yeah. That's all I had with that game.
Got all right. Well,
Offense,
yeah, man. I
balled
mean,
out. So
listen, I think it's pretty much cut and dry. All the people, I mean, all the teams that, of course, that won their conference get an automatic bye. Did what you had to do, and now we're here. We're now at the playoffs. But brother, I swear to God, I swear to God. And I usually don't swear to God, but I swear to God right now. Stop playing with these teams that made it in. And I'm telling you now, these teams made the playoffs for a reason. The teams that the committee chose to be in the playoff bracket made it for a reason. Made it for a reason. I literally have been thinking about this analogy all day, brother. So you go to Big Mama's house, and for those that don't know who Big Mama is, that's usually your grandmother. You go to Big Mama's house, right? Big Mama says, "All right, baby, I'm gonna make you some dessert, whatever you want, cake, pastry, of whatever, right?" Grandmama makes a cake. Grandma says, "All right, I'm gonna make you a cake. I mean, a delicious pound cake." Grandma's making the cake. She's putting ingredients in, whatever. She had you come over and say, "Baby, taste this cake. How does it taste?" You go, it's missing something. I don't really like it. It's just it's missing one or two things. All right, Grandma says, "All right, come back in about 5 minutes." Grandma's adding more ingredients, this, that, and the third. This, just Grandma in that kitchen cooking it up. She's trying to make this cake just great for her grandbaby because she know her grandbaby means a lot. She calls you back 5 minutes later. "All right, baby, taste this cake." And still miss something. I don't like it. That's how y'all sound about this committee. That's how y'all sound. We just went from 4 teams to 12, and y'all are still complaining. We not gonna have college football anymore if y'all keep just complaining and moaning
that's
because your
gonna
team didn't make it.
it's gonna be like that. That's
But
that's
at the
that's
same time, you have listen. You mean to tell me a team that just competed in their conference championship and only lost by 3 points? 3 points. Doesn't deserve to be in that last spot? They're not the better team? And you lost to a unranked opponent on the road. On the road. And then you lost to two in-state rivals. I'm not naming the team, but you lost to two in-state teams, and you think you deserve to be in? In what world? In what world?
cause you think about it, the big win that they had. Since we not naming no names, it's obvious who you talking about. The big
Yes.
win that they had, they beat a solid Georgia team. You know,
Yes.
yes, they lost to on the road and they lost to some rivals, but those teams were pretty good.
Pretty
Just I
good.
mean,
Yes.
and they were on the road too. So I mean that will be everybody's argument, but I mean at the end of the day, you can't leave out somebody that won their conference. But
Exactly.
at the end of the day, it's always gonna be somebody left out, and then somebody's gonna be mad. This is how it's gonna be. It's
Well,
just
well, here.
now it's less teams that you have to worry about. Because last year was what it was Florida State, you know,
Yes. But
and for that, I mean, it's always gonna be somebody.
but granted, with Florida State situation, and now people, of course, and granted, if you're joking or not, cool. Well, Georgia should be out of it because they lost their starting quarterback. You have to think with last year, if I'm correct, Florida State was either four. I want to say Florida State was four. So there were three other teams that were better than Florida. Now that we have 12 teams, you mean to tell me you're going to drop Georgia from five all the way out of the playoffs because they lose their starting quarterback?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's different scenario this year. So in that concept, you won't be able to have an argument. Now you can have an
Right.
argument that they were out of it because of how they played against certain teams. You can have that,
Exactly.
but as far as them dropping because their quarterback was out, um, there was only a 14 playoff.
Exactly.
So you kind of had to put a different scenario in there, a different team in there. But even still, you could have an argument with that. You could have an argument with them. I mean, because their argument is not bad for. I know I just named the team, but bump it. It's College Cow
Yeah,
Podcast. And
absolutely.
everybody knows who we talking about. But with Bama, you have a great argument. Don't get me wrong. Like so, if I'm the committee, that this is a tough decision in my opinion, because if you look at Bama's losses, everybody can say, "Oh, well, this team is not ranked, whatever." But if you're gonna put that much weight for the SEC, then you have to take those losses into consideration.
Mhm.
Into consideration, you know. And they lost against Tennessee, which was a good team, and they're in the playoffs. And they lost against a solid Vanderbilt team, which has been a team that has upset some people this year. This is not the Vanderbilt of old. And then they lost to Oklahoma, which was I mean, they're not great, but they're not bad either. They're not poo, but they're not whoop de doo either. So I mean, they're kind of in the middle. so so the argument would be their three losses are against better opponents than
Absolutely.
which in my opinion they are. Because Vanderbilt against another team outside of the SEC, I think they win.
Yes.
Tennessee obviously will win. Oklahoma, same thing.
Yeah.
So
So it was Alabama, Ole Miss, South Carolina, and Miami. Those were the four teams that were really on the
right,
bubble.
right,
In my opinion, absolutely, Alabama is the better 3-loss team.
right,
100%. One
right.
1,000%. You can't put Ole Miss in because of the Florida loss, and you can't put South Carolina in it. It was because of I can't remember off the top of my head, but at the same time, they are 100% the better 3-loss team. But you still have a 2-loss team with Miami, and I know that's your fiance back there, and I want her to hear this.
Not
You
fiance.
you can't put Miami. You can't throw Miami in because of the 2 losses, but at the same time, they didn't compete for the conference title. They did not compete for the conference title. The 4 teams that are on the bubble did not compete for a conference title.
I don't care, bro. I said what I said.
So they didn't. They did not compete for a conference title. So
Right,
you have to leave them out. You have to leave them out. That is literally the only deciding factor that the
right,
committee had,
right.
and
So
you
that's why I
got to leave
say
them
it's
out.
it's tough. Like it's
Yeah.
like because if you penalize SMU for playing in their conference championship, then you just contradicted yourself
Mhm.
because you rewarded for everybody else for winning their conference championship.
Exactly.
So that's saying that this game holds weight. So if you win it, we're gonna reward you. Even though I hate that they reward them twice, because you automatically get in
Yeah.
and you get a bye week, and then that means technically you get 2 weeks of rest. To me, that's stupid. Like
Yeah.
you should either have to play or whatever, or the game should be closer. In my opinion, it shouldn't be a double reward. That's just me. But if you're gonna hold that weight with the conference championships, then you can't fault the team if they're already ranked high. Now granted, if freaking if Vandy happened to make the conference championship and they weren't ranked that high, and they lose, I don't see them getting in. Like if they rank number 16, they lose the conference champion.
Mhm.
I don't think you get in. But if you're on the bubble or you're right there in the top 12 and you lose your conference championship, okay. What fashion did you win it in? I mean lose it in? And what was your ranking going into it? That would be the criteria, but you can't fault them for competing for an extra week. And then so I mean, at the end of the day, to me, next year is gonna be an amazing year because we've seen what the format is like. We're able to get the bugs out and all that type of stuff, so we kind of know what to expect because everything was speculation for a long time. So next year, I think we're gonna see a lot of teams give it their all every week because seeing how this format is going, like, oh shoot, all we got to do is win. Okay, cool.
Mhm.
Because before it was like, you got to blow a team out, or you got to do this, that, and the third. Now, shoot, all you got to do is win, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That you just get to your conference championship. That's it.
That is literally it, man.
Right?
That is.
Because Oregon didn't beat everybody by a million.
Mhm.
Like, you know what I'm saying? They just won every game that was presented to them. Like, it might
Yeah.
not have been ugly every time. I mean, might not have been pretty every time, but
Right.
they won everything that was put in front of them,
Absolutely.
and they earned that top spot. So
Yeah. And I wanna now get on the topic of as far as why SMU deserved the spot again. SMU is a 2-loss team. SMU is 11-2, and now people are saying of as far as, oh well, the ACC is a weaker conference. I mean, you're not wrong, but at the same time, they played for a conference championship, and they're better than a 10-2 Miami. And quite frankly, I don't want to see Miami in it anyway with the defense that they've had this season.
yeah, but I would
So
have liked to see Cam Ward
I
ball out.
100% that agreed. I would 100% like to see Cam Ward, and I mean, he's played lights out, and he's already vowed that he's going to go even crazier in the Pop Tart Bowl when they play against Iowa State, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, like I mean, I would have loved to see Cam, but at the same time, I would have hated to see that horrible defense that they have. So
Maybe that was the wake up call they needed so they could go ahead and ball out. We don't know. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
we'll never find out. Now, will
we'll never know. But again, do not count this SMU team out when they play against
Yeah,
Penn
yeah.
State.
No, I
Do
mean,
not,
no,
because this is a very talented SMU team. Kevin Jennings, do not take him lightly. Brashard Smith, do not take him lightly. Those two guys together, they give defenses a run for their money. I'm not saying this because I'm hating against Alabama. I'm telling you because I've watched these teams play. And if you watched on Saturday night, which some of you probably didn't because you're just too upset about your team not making it in, that you missed it. These teams made it again. These teams made it for a reason, and I 100% agree with the committee and the way that things went.
SMU is well coached. They have talent.
Yes.
They won every game that's been put in front of them, except for one, and then the conference championship.
Mm-hmm.
And for you to go your entire season on with one loss on your record, so one blemish, get to the conference championship, you get a loss, and it's only by 3.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty goddamn good season. You
Mm-hmm.
know? Because then you say, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to compare, teams or whatever, but Georgia, 2-loss team.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They could barely got by in their conference championship. Nobody says nothing. But then, you know what I'm saying? And then Texas is still right there in that picture after losing, by not that much. So, although they were ranked different or whatever, but it's the same kind of scenario outside of rankings, because Texas lost to a Georgia team and and they barely lost to them. So and they got put in the playoffs in a smooth spot. SMU, same thing. So I'm loving how this is going because I don't think we would have seen SMU in there otherwise. So
I'm gonna read this tweet to you that was sent to me yesterday, and I want this to be said, and I'm not gonna. I promise you, I don't want to say anything else regarding this topic. Look, the SEC is still the best conference. No doubt, some of their left out teams are more talented than ones that got in. So don't just get to lose to 6-6 twice, or versus 4-8. Point to your logo and say, "How dare you leave us out?" So basically, win and you're in. Win the games. Just win, and you won't have to worry about it come December when the committee is pretty much deciding, okay, who's in, who's out.
this is what I told people in the beginning when
Just
everybody
win.
thought that Bama has done enough in the past with
Mm-hmm.
Saban to get in. No, this is a whole nother coach, a whole nother culture, a coach that's never been in the SEC before, a coach that although he's a great coach, he's never been. It's different in the South. It is different. It is different. It is different. It is different. So now, you know what I'm saying? Now you take this, you understand how the format works.
Yes.
Next year, go be great. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? I don't think that Bama is a terrible team. I don't think that at all. I just think that I personally think they took a lot of teams lightly. That's what
Yes.
I think. Because they have tremendous receivers, have good running back. Jalen Milroe obviously is good. You know, their line is good. I mean, the defense is, sometimes questionable, but otherwise good. So and this is coming from an Auburn fan. I cannot stand Bama, but I give kudos where it's due. I mean, I give credit where it's due. They're not a bad team. I just think that they took some teams lightly and it cost them.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't.
So,
I don't. I don't think Alabama has fallen from grace either. Like I don't
right,
think
I don't think
Alabama's
that
bad.
it's the coach's first year. You only lose
Yeah.
3 games in your first time being in the SEC. I don't think that's a bad thing. That's a good sign to
Yeah.
me. You know, that's a
But
good
we
sign to me
also.
because he just got the luck of he just got the bad straw that Vanderbilt was actually good his first year. You
But
know,
didn't we also not say this at the beginning of the year? Let them not make playoffs and look how the fans are going to react. And they
right,
are
right,
reacting.
and on the flip side, uh, not you in particular, but on the flip side, had it been a situation with Georgia, it'd have been the
Yeah,
same thing from fans.
absolutely,
And
absolutely.
that's just how it is. Like when
Yeah,
you're accustomed to winning so much and being dominant for so long, you know, that's what fans expect. So I'm not mad at the fans for wanting their team in and pleading their case because let Auburn had been right there on the cusp or something like that. Heck yeah, I'd have been like, hey, bro, come on,
yeah,
let's run these stats. But that's as a fan, you want to see your team because you don't want the season to end. You don't want it to be, all right, we going for a bowl game. Okay, cool,
yeah,
whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like you want to continue to see your team, play week
right.
after week and play for something bigger than just
Mm.
the Egg Bowl or the Pop Tart Bowl. Nobody want to compete for that. Like, I go get Pop Tarts at the house and we'll celebrate. Heck no, I'm not trying to go play for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't get me wrong. They're good because it keeps football on and we get to
Mm.
see next year's talent or whatever.
Yeah,
But we want to see these teams compete at the highest level because this could be the last time we see a Genty play. This could be the
mm.
last time we see oh shoot, his name got there and escaped me.
Cam
Uh,
Ward.
no, Travis Etienne play, a
Yeah,
Cam Ward play, you know what I'm saying, a Dylan Gabriel play. This could be the last time we see them. This probably is gonna be the last time we see them. So we want to see them go out on the highest level with the players that they've won with and played with. We want to see that. That's as a fan, that's how we want. So I can't be mad at it, but don't don't down another team success because you're not getting your way because you haven't gotten the playoffs. SMU earned that. Like
yeah,
you only can play what's presented in front of you, right? And they've been dominant all season. They lost one game. One game. That is it. And if I'm not mistaken, that was to a ranked opponent. If I'm not mistaken.
yeah.
Oh, what?
Two losses, two losses, two
Well,
losses.
I'm
Yeah.
talking about regular season. I'm not
Oh
talking
yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm
Of
not
course,
talking
yeah,
about
yeah.
conference championship.
Mm.
So, and the conference championship was to a ranked team, which was
Yeah.
a great coach in Dabo Swinney and a great Clemson team that has found its stride as of late. You
Mm.
know, so you can't knock them for that. You know, because I mean, if I'm not mistaken, y'all didn't have the best season last year. Y'all got snuck in and y'all jumped over some people to get in. So if you're gonna jump over people, you gotta be fine with being jumped over sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Georgia got jumped over a few times. Then when they got in, they capitalized. Y'all jumped over last year. Y'all didn't capitalize. Y'all lost. You
Yeah.
know, this year, y'all got jumped over. So now, when y'all do the jump in, handle business.
But again, earlier this season when they started getting what they reached up to number one, and I said Alabama does not like being number one. They like to come in late in the season and start shaking the table and doing all this ruining of the rankings. And I mean, this happened. Like
The
this
highlight
is
of the
what happened.
season for Bama was beating Georgia, and then it's just like after that, they had all the momentum in the world, and then after
Mm.
that, it was, you
Yeah.
know, it was kind of rocky. It's up and down. Like But that's just how, not just the SEC, but how college football works.
Yeah.
The most consistent team and the most healthy team and the team with the most depth is the team that usually gets far. That's
I think it's a lot of people going up to the SEC conference headquarters in Birmingham either today or tomorrow and wanting to look Greg Sankey and I and be like, hey, you better schedule us an easier conference schedule next year, because I swear to God, if we don't
But
make
I'm
it,
being, if we're being quite honest with you, outside of Georgia and Tennessee, who else did they play that coming into the season would have been a hard team?
I genuinely would have loved to see Alabama, Texas. I'm not gonna lie to you.
My point being, like, you
Yeah.
had Oklahoma. This
Mhm.
year we thought Oklahoma would have been a good team or whatever. They just
Yeah.
happened to not be that great this year.
Hmm.
Vanderbilt, besides this year, they have not been great.
Hmm.
So before the season was started, that was an easy win. Everybody was okay with the schedule when it first came out. But then when you get to playing and teams get to gelling and stuff like that, and then like a lot of people didn't know Pavia was like that. You know, I knew because he beat Auburn. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, when I realized he was on the team, I'm like, oh shoot,
Yeah.
yeah, y'all better not take goddamn Vanderbilt light. And then he had the defense to match it. Shoot,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? But you don't never know how you, because a prime example, like, even though they're in the playoffs, Georgia, everybody thought Georgia was gonna be super dominant and Carson Beck was gonna be the Heisman front runner, you know. But through the course of the season, stuff started to change. People started to get hurt. Uh, passes were dropped. Things start happening during the season. Like, you never know how a season's gonna go. You never know how a team's gonna go. Like, anybody think Ole Miss was gonna beat Georgia like they beat them? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, although we know Ole Miss was good, we didn't know they were gonna be like that. You know what I'm saying? And then still not make playoffs. Like, we don't know. You know,
Yeah.
everything is up and down. Everything is up and down, bro. So, I mean, I'm glad how this season has gone. I mean, even though I don't get to see my boys play from now on, but yeah, I gotta wait till next year. But next year I see them in new uniforms with the new Nike deal. But uh, yeah, I mean, this season's been fun. You know, I can't wait to see how
Absolutely.
these playoffs games rack up and how these conference champions. I mean, these not conference champions, these bowl games in.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so you know,
Hey man, I'm again. I think for me, I'm just a chill guy with Atlanta sports PTSD, because that's exactly what I faced on
well, I
Saturday night.
mean, you shouldn't. I mean, your team Georgia is got 2 championships.
But at the same
So
time, brother, when we them, I can't stand looking at those overtime games, man. Because
this is
listen,
because y'all ain't the only one that want it, brother. Everybody
exactly,
want to take y'all out.
exactly.
And everybody want to be the one to win the championship. So I mean, you know, although Georgia's not the top dog this year, that name, you know, say you beat Georgia is
Hmm.
a big thing. And then, yeah, I mean, I don't know if any other the games moving forward for Georgia uh will um will be overtime worthy or anything like that. But I I will say, before we go to the next thing, I will say I feel
Oh,
like
this
the
it.
committee, huh?
This it. Go ahead.
I feel like the committee should change the fact that Oregon is number one and have the hardest path to the national championship. I definitely think that the number one
Okay.
seed should have been flopped with the number two, because that's kind of ridiculous to me. I mean, you have to play a number 8, a number 9, a number 5, or a number 12, or a number 4.
Hold on. Let me
You
make sure
know,
I'm looking at. Hold on. Let me make sure I'm looking at
yeah,
it.
because
Yeah.
Oregon's path, you either had to play Ohio State, Tennessee, Arizona State, Texas, or Clemson.
Hold
I
on.
think that's unfair for you to get the number one seed and have to play the better teams.
Hmm.
I think you should have to play the not as good teams.
Yeah. Yeah. I see that. I do. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. You're
you
right.
know,
You're
I
right.
mean, it's just no knock to Georgia at all. I'm just saying, if Georgia would have been in the number one spot, I think that they should have been, you know, had the easier slate. I mean, I think the slate that they have now, to me, the number one team should have.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. Like, that's no easy slate. The fact that you won your conference and you're number one and you're undefeated, you should have the easier path to the national championship. Or else,
So
what's the point of being number one?
So you put Oregon on the bottom half of the bracket.
Right. So you would
Okay.
push Oregon and Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I personally think Georgia should have the harder bracket. You know,
Mm-hmm.
just in my opinion, because they're number 2. Now, if they were
Yeah.
number 1, I think that they will be in the right spot right here. It's just, to me, that's kind of messed up. I mean, it's kind of messed up. I mean, and I think with the SMU thing, and I think I don't know, man.
Well,
I
I look at it. I look at it like this. With SMU having to go on the road to Penn State, um, it's not going to be easy for SMU. It's not going to be easy. I still think they do fine in Penn State, but at the same time, I genuinely feel like it should have been 6-12. I feel like Penn State should have been playing Clemson right now instead of six and
right, right. I
eleven.
think it should have been. I still think it should have been like different. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? It's
yeah.
like there's no
Six and
way.
11. Yeah,
Right.
6-11.
Or if
Six.
you're gonna keep it, if you're gonna keep Tennessee on that side, then Tennessee should have been playing Clemson, or
Yeah.
Tennessee should have been playing. You know what I'm saying? Like Oregon shouldn't have to play a high seed until semifinals,
Hmm.
in my opinion. You know, so that's just me.
Yeah.
You know,
I still, again, I think that's very true. I still agree with the way the ranking is set up, but the bracket is definitely out of
right,
whack
right.
for sure.
Oregon should have been flipped, in my
Hmm.
opinion. That's just me. That's just
Yeah.
me. I mean,
Yeah. That's
you
that's
know.
that's a fair that's a fair
And because I know people gonna be like, "Oh, well, you just don't like Georgia." No, if Georgia's in that same scenario, I think if they're number 1, they should have the easier path.
one
That's
hundred
to
percent.
me.
But and if you actually look at it, it's genuinely out of order because you have 4 on top of 1, and then you have 3 on top of 2. When really it should just be in order, starting from Oregon at the bottom, then you have Georgia right above Oregon. I'm sorry, you have Oregon. Yeah, you have Oregon at the bottom, and then Georgia at that in that 2 seed or whatever. Oregon should be. I mean, Georgia should be where Boise is. Then you put Boise right where Oregon is, and then you have Arizona State stand where they are.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
You know, that's
So
how
yeah,
that's how I feel. Like, the higher ranking you are, the easier your path should be, in
mhm.
my opinion. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
that's like, what I'm saying. So that's just how you should be, because you've earned that right. Because otherwise, it's like, all right, well, Bubby, just win your
Mhm.
conference, don't care about the rankings, and you straight.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
agree.
And by this logic, but if you do the other way, I feel like you put more weight on wins, put more weight on the conference, and then you get rewarded. Like, I mean, you're already rewarding people with bye weeks and stuff like that. You might as well go ahead and give them the right bracket in my
Exactly.
eyes. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Well, no games this week besides the greatest game of all season, the Army Navy game. So who you think?
What a bad draw for Army, man. Like, the great season that they had,
Yeah,
you had to wait to after the rankings come out for your. You know what I'm saying? You have one loss. You got to wait for your conference championship right there. I mean, golly, will they ever be able to get in? Like, you had a great season. You
I
only
know
lost
it.
one game. Like, that's not fair to me.
I know it.
That is not fair at all. That is not fair at
No,
all, brother. Like,
I
you
know.
only lose one game. That's ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
You know, like that's. I mean, not saying that they will win it all, but they should at least
Well,
have an opportunity. But
well, granted. Again, they have had a phenomenal season, but if I'm not mistaken, again man, I hate the way I'm finna say this. Schedule more ranked opponents. Put Army on that. Put Army on that stage. Put Army in that spotlight. Let Army get more ranked opponents. If Army would have had more ranked opponents this year, okay,
no,
we
yeah,
would
I mean,
have.
I'm seeing their schedule now. The only team that was ranked that they played is Notre Dame, and they got blew
Yeah,
out.
yeah. So that was the only
But
reason they didn't get to shape.
but
But they
in their
did. They did.
defense, in their defense, every game besides that one game, they have blown everybody out.
Exactly.
42-7, 24-7, 37-14, 42-14, 49-7, 44-10, 45-28, 20-3, 14-3. 49-14. That was their first loss. 29-24 was the only close game they really had
Yeah,
besides the 14-3 game.
but if you think about it, when they played Notre Dame said, "Yeah, brother, all that running thing y'all
No,
be
I mean,
doing."
and that's fine, which is cool. But
Yeah,
then you don't even let them get a chance to play that last game, which is crazy.
yeah.
You
But
know,
they did reach into the top 25. So
I mean,
both teams did. I think. Yeah, both teams were in the top 20. Well, it was Air Force. It may have been Air Force. That no
so what?
Navy. No. I'm just saying they reached into the top 25.
Don't nobody care about reaching that.
I'm just saying
You 11 and
for
1. You want to go
for them
compete.
not to have made it within over dang near 70 something years, that's pretty impressive.
I mean, that's beautiful. But that you 11 and 1. What do you think? If it took them 30 years to get to 11 and
Yeah.
1, all they rewarded with was saying, "Hey, yo, you rank number 22."
Sometimes.
So now it's gonna take them another forever and a day to get there again.
Yeah. I mean,
Again,
yeah.
this is we don't know
Mm.
how the team is gonna be. Like every year, like Georgia can win a national championship. We don't know if they're gonna win. They're gonna be great as they are. You know what I'm saying? Next year, like this year's team is not as good as last year's team, and last year's team was definitely not as good as the year before that. The
Mhm.
year before that, the team was close. You know what I'm saying? But they still weren't as dominant, even though they went undefeated. Their path to me was just a little bit easier as far as like teams, but that's just my opinion. But yeah, we just don't know how it's gonna go. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
the current year, to me, I put all the weight on the current year. You got to win now because you don't know how it's gonna be next year. You don't know who's going to leave. You don't know who's coming in. You don't know. Heck, you don't even know if your coach gonna get fired or not. Regardless, like I'm just being real. The way these years go, if you don't
Yeah.
make it, it's yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just kind of crazy. Like you fall that far, you lose to the number 16. But yeah, I mean, again, when you make these schedules, you don't know where these teams are gonna be ranked. You know they ranked that at the beginning. Like prime example, Florida State was ranked top 10, and then they ended the season not ranked. You know what I'm saying? So we don't know. You don't know. I mean, their fall off was probably like the biggest fall off in history. But I mean, that's just my opinion. But
Listen, that fall gonna have to be discussed
yeah, but I'm
in deep
saying that to say you
reunions.
just never know how the next year is gonna go. You know what I'm
That
saying? 'Cause
them
players leave. You know.
the the DBQs in schools about Florida State's fall off is going to be a thing of beauty because oh my goodness, that right there is just unexcusable. But man, listen here, we'll be sitting here talking all night if we don't get off this thing. But ladies and gentlemen, oh, tell me who you got. You didn't say who you got winning the game.
Which one?
The Army Navy game.
I think my rant speaks for itself. The
I'm taking
Army.
Army to win this game. Nobody Stackz is being difficult tonight. I got Army. Also,
My entire argument was for Army to be
oh, okay. I was gonna
in
say, brother,
playoffs
because you went into that whole spiel.
because I'm pissed off that Army is winning
I
games
agree.
and not being rewarded for it.
I agree 100%. But anyway,
I got
Heisman finalists have been announced today. We're looking at Shador, Trav, Cam, and Ashton Jeanty as far as the top four for Heisman.
that's
Literally,
awesome that
that is
Shador
a.
took it.
I,
That's awesome.
listen. I think
But
that
in my opinion, my honest opinion, Shador being in there hurts Travis, in my opinion. Because you've got a Hall of Fame quarterback,
mhm.
and I mean, don't get me wrong, he's both sides, but as a receiver, you got your Hall of Fame quarterback that kind of like, okay, I got a great quarterback throwing to me. You
Mhm.
know, Genty, on the other hand, he don't have nobody else on his team in the Heisman.
which
You
is
know?
which is why I think he gets it. Like I genuinely think
That's why I
this
say, I mean,
man
even
gets it.
though to me, Shador and Travis both deserve to be in there,
Yeah.
but I think you having because always, like, don't get me wrong, they talk like with Jerry Rice, they talk about how great he is and all of that type of stuff, which he was, but he always had a Hall of Famer thrown to him, so that would be the argument. So the same thing with Shador, you got a Heisman finalist thrown to you, and you're a Heisman finalist, so then the argument would be, well, You've got a great quarterback. You've got the golden arm when they're throwing the ball to you on the offensive side, so your job is easy. Genty, you are the team. I mean, let's be real. I mean,
yeah.
if it's not for Genty, well, are we talking about Boise at this point?
No.
Don't get me wrong, they have great players, but I don't think we talk about Boise if it's not Genty.
Fair enough. Fair.
I mean, and with Colorado, we talk about Colorado without Travis Hunter, but we talk about Shedeur. We talk about Colorado without Shedeur because we got Hunter. So, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, yeah, I mean, we talk about Colorado because of the coach too, but I'm just saying, you know.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
I got
man.
Army. I got Army, and I got Texas, Georgia for the Natty.
I think now that we got a little break coming up, I think it's time to go. Man, we have been so far off with basketball. Basketball has been going on for dang near a month or two now. But I think yeah. So I think we'll throw some basketball their way next week. Of course, bowl games will start, so we might talk about bowl games. But yeah, this has been another great episode of the College Scouts Podcast. Thank y'all so much for rocking with us for over an hour. We cannot thank y'all enough for your continued love and support. Thank you. Continue to like, comment, share, subscribe. And yeah. Stackz, my brother. Take us home.
Hey man, we appreciate y'all tuning in to College Scouts Podcast. Congratulations to all the teams that made the playoffs. Congratulations to all the teams that came up short and made the bowl games and everything like that. Look, continue to fight on for your season, prepare for next year. It's been a fun season. We're ready for these playoff games. Can't wait to see who is going to come out on top. Looking forward to talking about college basketball and the different sports to come. If you got any athletes that need some coverage, that are shining but not getting enough light, let us know. We would love to cover them, talk about them, have them on here to talk about themselves and talk about their experience. Tell a friend and tell their cousin, auntie them, the College Scouts Podcast where it's at. Tell them to tune in, subscribe, like, share, keep commenting, hit us up. Shout out to Georgia and
Javaris, baby. Go Dogs!
And them the mustard dogs. But anyway,
watch them out.
Hey, I can talk. My team ain't in it. My team ain't in it, so I can talk all the junk I want to. Anyway, but hey, we got bills to pay. We'll see y'all next week, yo. Wake up, I gotta go get it. Wake up, I gotta go get it.